Hey everybody, this is Brian with Bear Cards 34. Today I'm doing a little bit of a different video. This video is how I store my collection. I've seen a few of these videos out there and I've always enjoyed watching how other people store their cards and how they collect. So I'm going to do a video like that. I got the idea from a good friend of mine in the community, Terry from TJ Maxx Vintage Cards. He's got a great channel, so please check him out. He's fantastic with his collection of graded cards, sharing the history of the cards and the players, which is something those who follow me know that I love to do as well. So definitely check him out. But he had asked how I store my cards because I collect a lot of older stuff, a lot of modern. I rip stuff. I collect vintage. I'm kind of all over the place, so I thought I would do a little video to show how I store things. Now to start off with, I've got the Chicago Bears and the Utah Jazz. Those are my two PC collections. I'm primarily a football card collector, but I also collect Utah Jazz, and I've even been getting a little bit into baseball of late as well. So I just wanted to kind of mention, for me, those are my two big PCs, but it should be noted that although I say PC for personal collection, typically anything I get is my PC. I'm just a collector. I don't invest as far as like following necessarily the prices up and down, although I am curious as to what people are purchasing and how valuable cards get. I think that's a lot of fun, but primarily I'm just doing it for the love of the hobby as opposed to any kind of financial gain. In fact, if anything, I'm losing money because I invest in the hobby for collecting as opposed to trying to make a profit. So I'm just putting it in for the enjoyment of the cards and my love of the hobby and the sports behind. And I just want to mention at the start, this is in no way me suggesting that you all need to collect and store your cards the way I do. This is just my preference. And I know that there are some better ways out there. I've seen those ways. But for me, this is what works. So again, this is just me kind of showing you guys how I collect and store cards. But no way am I trying to tell you to do it the way I do it. It's just my preference. So first off, I will start with one of the ways I store my cards, and that is with binders. And I specifically chose this one because, as you can tell, this puppy has been with me for a long, long time. I first got this in 1989, and I put my 1989 Pro Set cards in here, and it's seen a lot of wear and tear, thus the duct tape. And so for me, just to kind of give you guys a heads up on this, this is the complete set of Pro Set, all of the series, everything in here, and this is just the set itself, none of the duplicates. As you can see here, the set, the way I store the cards is just one card per page. I know some people will sometimes occupy a card in the back. I would recommend against that, at least for me, that's not the way I do it. For starters, by putting two cards in one sleeve, it kind of pushes them down a little more pressure, potentially damages the cards more. And also, starting in '89, cards started having full color photos on the back, so it's always nice to check out the stats and the information as well as the other pictures. But for me, one of the reasons I like to have cards in binders is it's a really easy and convenient way to flip through a set and to be able to really enjoy the cards kind of almost like in a scrapbook sort of way to get the history of the cards and the set. So I definitely enjoy storing cards that way. And because I have been collecting for a very long time, you'll see here I have quite a few books full of cards. And on the other side of this, right here, is where I film my videos. So this you'll see is quite a lot of cards. Every card in these binders are part of sets or partial sets that I have collected. There are no duplicates in here. So these right here would be the duplicates. Now none of the cards in here as far as duplicates are ones that are considered super valuable. It's important to note that a lot of these are from the junk wax era. There are still some nice cards in there, but typically these are just a bunch of duplicates, mostly from the late 80s, early 90s. But I still enjoy having the cards, so for me they're sentimental if nothing else. Now I do want to mention I left this out on purpose just to let you guys know this is a long, slender cloth that I put on top of this just so that these don't collect dust, to keep them in better condition when I can. And then some of my nicer cards that I have in binders are in a separate location, a little more secured. And just as a note, I'm planning to make a series of videos from my TTMs from when I was a child. I actually have a bunch of autographs through the mail, so I will be sending that, making some videos of that in the near future also. So this right here is an example of one of the larger boxes that you can store cards in, specifically base cards. You can notice right here quite a bit of sports cards. Some of the nicer cards, or at least nicer to me, I would put into a penny sleeve, like this Pro Set Jerry Rice. And for some reason I did not do that with Joe Montana, but I should. Another way I store cards is in boxes that I've had around. So for example, this was the Topps 1990 complete set. I did put that in a binder, but I still use this for other cards. A lot of these are going to be more of the cards that I would care more about. So these are, Hall of Famers and, near Hall of Famers, things like that I would have picked up back in the day. And these would all be duplicates. And this would be a good way for me on how to store these cards. And you'll notice a lot of these, because of their majority of these guys are Hall of Famers, I did put these in penny sleeves to at least kind of protect from that. Now, that's not a Hall of Famer right there, but yeah. Anyway, so that's another example of how I collect my cards and store my cards. And some sets I purchase, in the set box itself, so it's a good place to store them in as well. As well as boxes like this. These can be pretty handy for cards as well. And again, these are all just kind of the base cards or cards from a set. And then for my nicer cards, my hits, my autos, they go in things like this. So this right here is an example of what I like to collect as well. Players from the state of Utah: Alex Smith, Utah Ute; Bobby Wagner, Utah State Aggie. So of course using some of the mags on certain cards, as well as just some penny sleeves, top loaders. Some have thicker than others, obviously, as most of you I'm sure know. But this is a good example of the way I would store and collect the cards that were nicer. So these are not going to go in a binder. These would typically go in something like this. So again, that's just another little example of some of the cards. So for example, this Kyler Murray that I pulled a little while back, which is actually numbered to 75. So I was really happy to pull that. So typically when I get a nice card like this, I'll put it in some sort of a protection, and then I'll put it in these boxes. I try to organize them where I have a box of Chicago Bears, I have a box of Utah players, I have a box of RPAs, a box of single autos, a box of numbered cards, and then just some of the nicer vintage cards. But anyway, that's typically what you would see in one of my boxes. And then the last box I'll show are these. These are for my graded cards, predominantly PSA, but you'll see I keep my graded cards in these. I don't have all that many, so my collection mostly is ungraded, but you can see from stuff like this, these are very good for taking care of my graded cards. Now, one thing I wanted to mention, putting cards in binders is not for everyone. And although I told you this is just the way I do it, I do have one recommendation, which is never put your cards, never store your cards in circular binders. You're going to get cards damaged from the back of the set and the front of the set. Definitely put them in the ones that have this shape right here. So we're looking at the kind of the backwards D, right? So definitely aim for that. Also, don't stack the cards up too high. If they get around here, it's very easy for them to get pushed over here and then crushed. And so you can get your cards ruined that way. So make sure you don't overfill the books. And also, as far as the sleeves go, just for me anyway, I know these ones you can pick up at Walmart and they're really cheap and convenient, but they're also very flimsy. The cards easily fall out. There's not much protection there at all. So for me, I definitely prefer these ones right here from Ultra Pro Platinum Series. These ones, as you can see, they're a much thicker stock. They support the cards a lot better, and it's just a much better product for saving cards and keeping them in good condition if you do like putting them in binders like myself. So part of that would be supplies as well. So, you know, getting the penny sleeves, top loaders, depending on the size of the card. I used to use these BCW card sleeves, and these are nice, but I now prefer these. I think Terry's the one who told me about these as well. These are perfectly fitted for the PSA slabs. So it's a very clear view, and it also goes right to the card, so you don't have a lot of, you know, excess space that's kind of getting stuck. These ones are definitely my favorite, but either of these are pretty good. In addition, I have some old school sports cards to open, and usually I stack them this way. I'm hoping that the cards won't push together too much and make it a brick to open. So typically I'll kind of store them like this. So I make some throwback videos from time to time, and these are some that I'm definitely looking forward to rip in the near future. And then with this right here, this hanger pack of 1989 tops and a few packs of 1990 tops, which you can find relatively cheap, really. I'm saving those for the show and tell videos for when I do a deep dive into the sets from those 2 years. So feel free to check out my show and tell videos from previous years if you're interested. Another thing to mention, these are definitely my preferred storage for my nicest cards, these One Touch. Lately they've been giving these screw downs, so I've been using them a little bit, but way would rather have these ones. And then these are a couple of the stands that I use to display cards, mostly just in the videos. I don't really have what you would call a man cave, unless it's just this little spot where I make my videos. And so I don't really show my cards except for in the videos, which is part of the reason I started the channel, was to be able to share my cards and to be able to see other people's collections and have a cool dialogue. So these are two that I do use. I've seen some really nice ones that people have that are really cool. Some that are like custom made as well. These are real cheap. These ones kind of fall, I have found, for the heavier stuff, especially when I put a graded card on it. Kind of see there. So this one I'm much preferring these days of the two. As you can see, that one works a lot better. But when it's a smaller card, like for example the late Kenny McKinley, I have this on-card auto of his from 2009, but it's just a thin card in a top loader. They go on just fine, but the heavier ones, and especially the graded ones, sometimes fall, I have noticed. And the main way I get my cards these days are through retail, which, as you can see, you know, this is a collection that I've kept that I have not yet opened. So I've got a bunch of, well, a few hanger boxes to open, and I got a dozen packs of 2021 Score, so I've been randomly opening those from time to time. And I have a couple of these boxes, the mega boxes, neither of which I'm super thrilled with, but eventually I will open, and it should be fun. So these are some things that I will be opening at later dates, and I just store these usually off to the side of this video space that I have, or just behind it. And then of course I've always got to have a diet soda when I'm opening cards. And along with buying retail, I also pick up the monthly subscription of the Boombox to open a little bit of hobby. And my other way of getting cards typically is through eBay. And I did have a mail day. So today's mail day video would be this Karl Malone second year card from 1987 Fleer. Even though I've collected Jazz cards since I was a little kid, I have never had this card before. So very happy to have that to my collection. Just a couple weeks ago I was down in Salt Lake City and I did a little video outside of the stadium where his statue along with John Stockton is. That was a really cool place to be. So you can check that video out if you would like. And I also pick up cards through the community, through some of the great channels that I watch and support. We're able to give each other cards, rack Random Act of Kindness, purchase cards through different live streams and things like that. So anyway, that's kind of how I get my cards, collect my cards, and that is a kind of a tour of how I store them as well. Hope you guys enjoyed that video. Feel free to like and subscribe. If you have a channel and are interested, I'd love to see your tour of your cards, how you store them, how you collect them. That would be great to see. So if you do, please leave a comment to let me know, and I'll be sure to check those out. If you don't have a channel, but you want to kind of share how you primarily store your cards, that would be great too. Anyway, hope you guys are all having a great day. Go Bears, and I will see you all later.